Don't worry, I have Madolche and Adventure Stun making top 32 out of a 620-person regional. And don't be intimidated by the pie chart. Don't be like the 30% of you that have not smashed the 11 crap out of that subscribe button. Smash it so you guys miss out more on this content. Very quickly, looking at the pie chart for this, your top 8 out of Indy is very, very Kashtira heavy to start here. 5 of these decks made it into the top cut, making it the highest represented deck. But this is not the entire true story of the top 32. Like I said, we have Madolche, we have adventure stuff in here that we'll talk about. Your off-brand decks, one of which is a Dragon Link deck, which evidently won the event. I do not have the list. That's the only thing I can tell you about that. Was Dragon Link pulled off a pretty big W here. We also had a Labyrinth deck in the top cut as well. You're once again going to showcase and see here the power that this deck is bringing to the table here. And then we also have a Despia deck as well running it on home. So your top cut, even though you've got, you know, some very powerhouse decks in here, what we care about is Adventure and Madolche. Let's pass on over to those deck list. All right, we have our Kashtira journey begins here with our first list here, showcasing the fact that, hey, once again, I mean, this deck does its job. I mean, you're on 1 Arise Heart, actually. That's actually pretty impressive. Just need the 1. You're able to, 600 Duelist, this was able to do its job. We also played 1 Rictophobia in here as well, so you can actually toggle for the Scareclaw Kashtira. A lot of innovation packed into one deck here. Crossout Detonators for defensive options. Divine Karate's down here as well. I like what we're seeing. And then, of course, the interactions on the Goliath machine. So kudos to getting second place out here, smashing through one of the biggest regionals that the Midwest has actually seen today. And we're also playing the set rotation. That's a cute little interaction here, handing them this good card here. Oh man, you gotta love Yu-Gi-Oh interactions. Next up here is our next Kashtira list here, where you're seeing the Crossout Designator yet again. Honestly, in a 600-man tournament, I think Crossout Designator kind of gets a lot more value here. We're also main decking 1 Evenly Matched, so you can actually have access to this. You have some Denko Rekkas to punish your opponent, Nightmare Corruptor Iblis for the Ibli lock. And then you're actually playing the Grave of the Super Ancient Organism here to shut off your opponent, depending on the matchup here, which is actually pretty good. All right, I'm sure there's a lot of things, but I mean, the minute you exceed, you know, you don't have to worry about this. So, you know, the side effects of this aren't going to hurt you, you know, as long as you're rolling out, you know, these good cards right here. You got to set up and establish the field. Once you're good to go, your opponent's going to have a very hard time, I feel like, trying to break through that. So even though a lot of these lists do feel the same, the tech choices are going to be the big shiners. And then, of course, here, this is what I would consider like your more defensive options. You have double Rise Heart here. You have the 1 Scareclaw Cashier. We're not playing the Tier Elements one. And then, of course, you're going to rely on Book of Moons, your Cosmic Cyclones, and Chalices and Lances. And we're actually main decking a Harpy's Feather Duster in here as well. I actually kind of like the inclusion of the Feather Duster in here because this gives you like more powerhouse options to kind of like play through the opponent's field. And of course, we're playing Magic Deflector in here. While Deflector hasn't seen a large amount of play in the format, this is still a pretty saucy tech card here to kind of punish the opponent. So I will say I do like that. Opening up the doors here for some relatively interesting things is always going to be like one of the key things that you want to see out here, especially like on the regional level. Having a tech card like this that can cover so many matchups should just put you ahead at the end of the day. So very, very good to see all of our Kashtira goodies. Next up here is Labyrinth. Ah, yes, the Red Eyes Dark Dragoon package. I will tell you that after a little while, seeing the Red Eyes Dark Dragoon kind of show up in this deck, I didn't really think that this would be something that would be more of a mainstay, but it has definitely carried itself on into the format here as one of the engines that makes this deck incredibly strong. I mean, who would have guessed? A whole bunch of trap cards, and then, you know, having, you know, Lady Labyrinth here be a stepping stone, having defensive options for Lord of the Heavenly Prison here you have so many bases that you're covering with this deck that it's just you shouldn't have an issue playing this deck. And I think that that's actually some of the best stuff kind of going forward here. I also like the fact that there's Trap Tricks cards down here in the extra deck. Half the stuff in the extra deck you're never going to make, but you can definitely see the cards the players choose to play. Next up here is Despia. Yes, Despia also sporting off the mighty power of the Dark Dragoon. Yeah, this card. So that's 2 decks now in the format that have opted to have the chance to play Dark Dragoon as the additional pressure points for the opponent. So think about that. The more that you can pressure the opponent with these power cards, the better off you'll be. And then, of course, Jinzo's been starting to find its way into the format here. I know that this hasn't been like a really discussed thing, but Jinzo being able to be dumped and then, you can revive it or pull it back or do whatever you need to do with it. It is kind of funny to just kind of see the little interactions and things that you can do with this deck. So interesting to see this. I've seen some Sprite List also playing Jinzo, or I heard a story about a Jinzo being dropped over the weekend. So a lot of big tech choices out here that are gonna really catch your opponents off guard. Next up here is our next Kashtira Money Dollar Bills Holler deck. And of course, Book of Eclipses for your defensive options. More of those cross-out designators that we'd already previously seen here. The fact that these cards just do so much work is amazing. I also see that we have enemy controllers here as well to punish the opponent. We have Dimension Shifters to also... how long has it been since you've seen Dimension Shifter actually show up in a deck profile? You haven't seen it in a hot second? Yeah. This is completely optional, by the way, and it can actually do a lot of work. I just feel like it's gonna... depends on the matchup. This just does not feel as strong, and there's nothing that this card really needs to stop at the moment. You're just trying to do it to create like the macro-esque effect in the very early stages of the game so you can start generating advantage. But for a 9-round tournament, or 10-round tournament, there is a possibility that you will want to see something a little bit more generic like that. Next up here is our 15th place Labyrinth list. Now what's so incredible about this is Stoolish has played with a 12 card side deck the entire day. For the tournament, they're like, I don't think we really need anything else. So yes, we are playing Temple of the Kings here. You can activate 1 trap card, the turn it was set. Alright, that's the whole big thing with Temple of the Kings here is you can immediately generate whatever you need here. Whatever starter that you need to trigger to start doing the game, you are good to go. Now do keep in mind that we did play Ariane in here. The discussion that they were talking about was they would want to cut Ariane here and actually play some Ash Blossoms, and they actually wanted to put in 3 Solemn Judgments post-tournament as well. So if you are looking at this list, you're like, I kind of like this a little bit more than, the 5th place list up top. Those are your changes that they wanted to focus on. Honestly, I understand the fact that they want to actually be able to have Solemn Judgments and things like that in here. Also, shout out here to Witch's Strike being an amazing card. Imagine stealing a game because of that. Next up is our Adventure Control deck. This got 20th place. So how does this work? Well, your Forest of Lost Flowers here is a field spell. A monster equipped with Starlit Papillion are unaffected by your opponent's activated effects. Once per turn, when your adventure token destroys a monster by betting, draw a card. Alright, that's the main thing you care about here. Starlight Papillion here. Equip only to 1 monster. You can only control 1 of these. Monsters your opponent control will lose 500 attack for each monster you control, with a different name that mentions adventure token. And if this card is sent to the graveyard, target adventure token and re-equip it. All you're going to do, this deck is so easy. You just roll out your adventure token, you load up your Griffin Rider, your Legal Knight, and you're off to the races. You play Triple Faithful Avenger, you get off your advantage here, you hide behind like a Jowgen on the side. And then you have hand traps to protect you for days. Easy enough? The fact that, your engine here is able to be protected, you hit hard second, laugh at your opponent. Yeah, that's easy as that. And we also had a Madolche deck here. Yes, Candy Treats got 29th place out of 600 plus people. Kudos to this. I see that Kumamungus actually found some value in here. We're still doing the Vernal Sif package in here, which is good. We're playing 3 thrusts to get into 1 evenly matched in the main deck, and we've opted all the way down here to side the Promenade. That's actually kind of impressive at the end of the day. So for everything that you're unpacking from this regional, one of the biggest regionals that I've had the chance to see as of late. So What do you guys think? Please leave a comment down below, tell me what you guys think, and I will see your beautiful faces back here later on in the day, guys. Peace out. Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.